for the first time ever, your Wellness Rebranded podcast team is crafting this excellent experience in the form of an in-person retreat. It's going to be here in Annapolis at the Collective, February 7th from 9 to 4. You don't want to miss this.
It's called Exhale, which is what we hope you will get to do while you are with us. We are going to drop the link in the show notes. This is going to be awesome. We love being together, and we cannot wait to be in person together with you sharing this day. We have all sorts of really yummy things planned for you. First and foremost, it is a chance to pause and put yourself at the top of your priority list. You are going to get a chance to pause, to practice some mindfulness. We're going to have guided intuitive eating experiences. You'll get to ask us all your questions about nutrition and movement and intuitive eating and body image and mental wellness or emotional well-being. We are going to do a journaling exercise. We have so much planned. We simply can't tell you all about it.
So come join us. We're crafting a beautiful, recharging day for you to take care of yourself and take this podcast to a real experience.
Welcome to Wellness Rebranded, the podcast for women ready to redesign their relationship with food, fitness, and feelings.
We are a registered dietitian, a personal trainer, and a mental health therapist. 3 experts, 1 mission.
To help you break free from diet culture, hustle culture, and emotional burnout. Let's redefine what wellness really means on your terms. Hello out there. Today we want to tackle what I think is a very common problem. And this episode was inspired by a conversation that we had with a friend of ours recently, who was sharing that sometimes it's really hard to kind of prioritize your health habits when you have a lot of other things on your plate and competing priorities. And we wanted to talk specifically about movement. I think that a lot of people out there can relate to perhaps knowing that it would benefit their bodies to move more, but they're just flat out exhausted or overwhelmed or have too much on their plate, and they just realistically don't know how to do it, and they feel stuck. And we have thoughts, right, ladies?
Yeah, we do.
Boy, you want to hear my first thought?
Sure.
I am that person.
Yeah.
I want to move more, but I'm just... When I have the time to move more, I just want to lay in the couch. There you go.
Yes, and I'm a bad person to ask about this because I'm also that person. And yet, as I sit here slightly out of breath because I just finished teaching a HIIT class, I've found ways to make it so that it's part of what I have to do, for my job. So,
yeah,
it's
and
an
maybe I'm an
interesting
interesting
conundrum.
person too to have this conversation because I feel like, well, I have a lot of thoughts on it.
Okay.
And I also am someone who, Tara, movement is very much a part of my life and who I would say it's part of who I am.
Yeah.
And so I don't know that we have 3 interesting perspectives to look at this from, angles
Okay.
to look at this from, right?
But hold on, this is important, and I love to start this way, and is to begin by normalizing it, that this happens to everyone. Even
Yeah.
people who preach movement or have structured fitness routines feel tired and depleted, and and that doesn't make us lazy, right? Maybe human. That
Totally. And also,
Yeah.
if it's just because movement maybe isn't the thing that I have trouble fitting in, there are plenty of other things that would be good for me that I genuinely want to do that I cannot figure out how to
Mhm.
get on my plate.
Yeah.
Meditation is one of them.
I was
Consistently,
just gonna say,
anyway.
ooh, now I'm intrigued because you seem like the perfect wellness Barbie to me, but
There is no perfect wellness Barbie. Hello. Have you been in our podcast, Tara?
only for 170
Are
episodes.
you, intruder? Where's Tara?
Yeah. Who body snatched her?
So
No,
I
I'm
think
not the perfect wellness guru, nor is anyone else.
true. I think a really important part of this conversation isn't to just be well, you just have to figure out ways to move, right?
No.
Because that's the easy answer that diet culture tells us. But I think when you think about going to the gym and your whole body just kind of like rebels against that, that might be your nervous system saying, "Hey man, like we're not ready for this. I need a break here." And then I think that's your turn to go, "Okay, do I really need a break? Am I actually like burnt out? Is my body not thriving because I'm doing too much or because I'm not doing enough?" And if you decide that it's because you're not doing enough, then that's what this conversation is about.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
love that framing. It's very much, I was thinking about it in similar but slightly different terms, which is we all have seasons, right? There are seasons to our health journey. And I'm not saying like that all or nothing wild swings, but there are definitely seasons where you're a little bit more on it and then you're a little bit less on it, right? Just
Yeah.
because of other life things. But the first question that I would want to ask someone is like, okay, does this feel like a short-term seasonal thing? Like, is this something happening right now because there may be other things happening in your life that movement isn't your top priority or one of your top priorities right now? Or is this a long-term thing, something you've struggled with for a long time and kind of like you need to come up or want to come up with like a long-term solution?
I feel like essentially what we could be talking about is chronic exhaustion.
Hmm.
Possibly, yeah, for
Like
sure.
I feel like that
Where do
has
I
like
put my name on that list?
same. I feel like that has like physical attributes that come with it, the mental, the emotional, like
Totally.
exhaustion is real and we live in like a society where the mental load is crushing to most of us, especially moms, but like everybody I feel like struggles with mental load. So I think that's kind of part of the conversation.
Absolutely. And I think that's my issue number one. When I find myself that I want to move my body and I know I need it because I feel it in my body that it's time to move and I'd rather just go lay down in the couch, it's not physical exhaustion in my case. It's mental load. It's like I need that moment to decompress and it's in my couch. The other thing that Elizabeth made me think is that also in my case, I learned a lot about myself when I started seeing what was my case in particular. Like I've told you guys before, I'm not a gym person and but movement is important to me. So then when I started teaching that Latin dance class, I go to that class so motivated and I move the whole hour and I'm having a great time. So for me it wasn't the movement itself, it was the place where I was doing this movement and what kind of movement. So once I figured out that it wasn't lack of motivation, is that I was forcing myself to do something that I didn't feel comfortable with because I don't feel comfortable in a gym, it's like not my thing, even though I feel great afterwards. It's just knowing also what this movement means to you and what feels pleasurable because all movement is
100%.
valid.
Yeah, I wrote down when I was preparing for this episode is like part of it also kind of in the beginning is like taking an honest look at what's getting in your way, right? You have to understand what the blocks are, and this is where sometimes honestly a lot of the work that I do with people, we can't always see our own blind spots, right? Or we may think it's one thing, but through conversation and coaching realize it's actually a different roadblock. But, for example, do you just lead an overscheduled life? If so, it's going to be really hard to fit movement in, possibly, right? Or are you struggling with lack of sleep? You're really going to be tired, right? And not have the energy. Do you hate exercise, like Maria just said? Is it your relationship with movement? Is it something else, right? Is it negative self-talk because of certain beliefs you have or experiences that you've had? Like there's so many different things that it could be. And and by the way, those could change at different times. They're not set in
Yeah.
stone. But I think you have to explore them in order to figure out what you're even trying, which like what are you trying to solve, right?
Well, and let's add for a minute, going back to that cognitive load, if your brain is busy solving problems and worrying and all that, movement can feel like a chore, right?
Mhm.
And also the shame, because let's be honest, sometimes when I'm in that couch I feel some shame, like I should be moving, and then the more shame I feel, the less movement I
Yeah,
probably gonna do, because
totally.
it's that
Yeah.
cycle, right?
So I feel like when we do that, we feel lazy.
Yeah.
Like we feel the shame of being lazy, laying on the couch, but it's not that we're lazy, we're tired.
Hmm.
And tired bodies don't need punishment, they need self-care.
I
So,
canceled my workout with you earlier this week, Tara, which doesn't happen that
yes,
often,
I know.
but I
Did you
think
notice, Tara? You noticed she canceled.
I felt a little guilty about it because I was awake and I could have done it, but I just knew that my body and my mind were crying for like I cannot do that today. And it was like this war between like sort of feeling guilty and not guilty, but kind of like I could have done it. You know what I mean? And then also, but like, no, I really needed this. So
Yeah,
I think that like wrestling in your mind is like we all experience it. That's my only point in sharing that.
I just feel like that was a great example of how you showed yourself self-care that day.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't that you couldn't have done it, but doing it probably wouldn't have enhanced your life that much if your mental state was how it was. So having the, self-awareness to be like, hey, I am going to do better just sitting on my couch this morning with my tea and looking out my back window and enjoying the day rather than
You
sweating in
know
the
me so
basement.
well. That's exactly what I did.
It's like I know you or something.
Weird.
Like, I just feel like that's an important part of the conversation, too. Obviously, as a trainer, I want everybody to be moving their body,
Yeah.
right? I know the benefit of this. I know that it will make your day better. It'll make your life better. But, like, there are some exceptions, right? So, if you're absolutely, like, burnt the heck out, maybe you do call the audible and say, I'm going to stay on the couch this morning and just take a mental wellness day.
Mhm. I
Yeah.
think it's also looking at your motivations for movement, right? Like, are your motivations healthy and supportive, or are they less healthy and less supportive,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because the reality is those less healthy and less supportive motivations are gonna be have a harder time sticking,
Totally.
right? Like if you're only doing it because you believe you have to, or you should, or you feel shamed if you don't, or you're trying to burn a certain number of calories, or you're going for a certain, aesthetic goal, like those are typically can either send us into disordered patterns with movement, or they're just not that helpful for getting us motivated long term in a sustainable, enjoyable way.
I think that goes back to what Maria was saying about how she doesn't like gyms, but she loves dancing. Like,
Mhm.
we all have to find our thing, you
Hmm.
know?
Hmm.
I get it. There's lots of things that I don't like. I really struggle with Zumba. I want to enjoy it and I love dancing, but I have a really hard time following what the steps should be. So it ends up being kind of stressful and anxiety inducing for me. But if you put on those same songs and we're like, go nuts, I'd be like, oh, hell yes, and like completely enjoy it. But finding the type of movement that kind of like lights your soul on fire that you want to go do and you can't wait to go do, I think is a big part of the secret.
Tara, you can do what I do on Zumba classes. I always stay in the corner so that way when I don't want to follow anymore and it's a really good song, I just move my butt and shake my hips in the corner and do my own thing. And I'm like, who's gonna kick me out of this class? Like I'm still moving. But listen, we're saying many things here that are really good food for thought, I think. One is, yeah, that instead of shaming ourselves is giving ourselves permission to listen to our body, even defining or redesigning what movement means to us, right? It can be the Zumba class, it can be the gym, it could be the walk, and even asking ourselves like what kind of movement feels doable today. And everything counts, something that I learned from Miss Elizabeth Harris, this registered dietitian, an intuitive eating counselor that I know, is that everything counts, right? Everything you do counts. And the other thing that I've said it before, and changed my life for the better was our episode 146 on exercise snacks.
Dang,
That thing,
you like
ladies,
pulled out an episode number. Both Tara and I had a visible reaction. Like, where the heck did she pull that out
The
of?
expression on our faces right then was like, what?
thank you for underestimating my abilities to know what we do here in this podcast.
I
Okay.
think it was more a reflection of our abilities
I
than
cannot name a single episode number
yours.
at all, ever.
Okay, I looked. Okay, it's not like I memorized them all. Like, hey, you ask me right now what's episode 150, and I tell you no. But episode 146, if you haven't listened to that, go listen to it right after this episode because it did change my life. The notion that movement doesn't have to be that commitment of 1 hour or 45 minutes in the gym because otherwise it doesn't count. No, it's like I've said it before. I go from here from the kitchen to my bedroom and I go up the steps and I go up and then back down and back up just for fun. That's an exercise snack and it counts, right? So anyway, thank you, Tara.
Dude, so I have like an interesting success story kind of about that I want to share with you guys. So my husband and my family recently moved houses like a year and a half ago, and our house was all one level. So once you were in it, you had
You're
nowhere to
in it.
go except on one level, which, by the way, is an epic hack for having a baby because you are never more than like 10 feet away from anywhere else you need to be in the house. So it's like really easy when they're little like that. Anyway, the house we moved into is right next door and it is two levels. And so, us moving all of our stuff in, I was like out of breath and sweating, dude, from going up and down all these stairs all the time because for the past 8 years, I haven't really had to do that many stairs. And I decided one day that I was tired of being like mildly out of breath as I walked up the stairs. So I decided that like at the beginning of our bedtime routine, I was just gonna do three up and down the stairs. So like three flights. And I'm happy to report that I've been doing that for like 3 or 4 months now, and I rarely get out of breath with stairs
I love
these
There
days.
that.
you go. Now you're the stairs master. The stair
Yes, master.
the stairs conquer. How you say that?
Maybe. But
Oh,
regardless, the real benefit is I don't feel like, oh, I'm struggling to get up the
yeah.
stairs while I'm carrying my laundry basket full of stuff and, with a toddler hanging on my back and
Yeah.
all the mom things that I have to do in my life. I'm not tired about it now.
Mm-hmm.
I also
Mm-hmm.
think that if the conversation that we're having is like you want to be moving more, but you're too exhausted, a really important thing to do is to figure out why are you so exhausted, right? Are you so exhausted because you're not sleeping well? Are you so exhausted because you have way too many things on your plate? Are you so exhausted because you're prioritizing everyone and everything except for yourself? Is it because you're not eating enough food? Is it because you're not eating the right types of food that are not actually nourishing and energizing your body? Is it because you have an illness, right? Like there's so many things that could like you got to first look at, okay, if the biggest hurdle is I'm just too flipping exhausted, well, why is that? And you know, some of those are maybe going to be contraindicated for exercising more, but not all of them, right? All of them might be like, okay, I actually really want to be doing this thing, but I am prioritizing everyone and everyone else beside myself. And I need to do an honest look at my values and my lifestyle and see if I have decisions that I want to make around
Okay,
that.
wait a minute. I answer yes to all your questions.
Okay.
I'm like,
I
check,
answered
check.
yes to a lot of them as well.
No, all of them except the last one about the illness. I can't think of an illness that I have except perimenopause, but that's not what I consider an illness. But otherwise, yes, 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 and yes. So there's
Yeah,
that.
so you can start chipping away at those things, right? Like if you're not well fueled, well, I can help you with that. Reach out. I
Exactly.
now take insurance.
Yes. But also talking about, yeah, once is the same conversation going back to getting to know yourself through what your body is telling you and what you're doing or not doing. And something that has worked for me is asking myself a little bit how much energy do I have right now, and how can I use that little bit or that a bunch of energy, and then what can I actually do? Because maybe you have enough energy to just walk your dog, from three houses down and back. And again, that
Count.
counts. It all
Yeah.
counts, right? Maybe
Yep.
you have energy enough to go to Tara's hit class on Fridays, right, at 10:30. And then I've done that, and I push myself, and I
Please join
force
me.
force myself to do it, and then it feels great. But and sometimes it's actually the other way around. It's like I don't have enough energy, so I force myself to do that because it is an energy boost
Yeah.
sometimes. It's like the energy
Yes.
that I it's like plugging your phone. It's like I feel that I plug myself when I go to the dance class or to the walk or to hit class. And then that gives me a little bit more energy to keep doing the things that I shouldn't be doing, like putting everybody else before me and not feeding myself correct, whatever, but it's
I
still
call that
energy.
walking it backwards, right? Like there's definitely times where we
Mm,
just don't feel like it. And yet, if we are able to sort of walk it backwards, we will realize that if we go ahead and do it, it's actually going to enrich and enhance the rest of our day. And, your mood, your mental health, your stress level, your like whatever. And so it's definitely like I will help people kind of figure out, okay, what's like your long-term motivation for wanting to move more, right? Like, I don't know. For me, it's that we travel a lot and I want to be able to lift my suitcases and walk around and explore all the cool places we are. And I also maybe one day we'll have grandchildren and I would like to be active and play with them. And, I have rheumatoid arthritis and movement helps keep my joints going. And
yeah,
so, like, those are my long-term motivations. But to be fair, on any given day, when I'm like, oh, I don't think I really feel like working out today, like, those are usually not the things that are firmly planted in my mind and actually get me off the couch. The things
right.
that get me off the couch are the short-term motivations for what is the benefit I'm going to get today or an hour from now if I decide to do this. And, there's many of them when you start thinking about them and paying attention to like what does and doesn't feel good in your body and how you do and don't feel after and all the things. But I think you need both. You need the long-term motivation, but you also need the short-term motivation.
Let me tell you guys my like hack for this. I've
Okay.
probably mentioned it on the show before, but it's been a while, so I'm going to bring it up again. If on the days I really just don't feel like doing it, but I know that there's no good reason why I shouldn't, right? Like my secret is that I tell myself I have to go and do 5 minutes, and if I'm done after 5 minutes, then I'm done. And I can go home and I still was successful that I went and did a little short something, even if it's not to the gym, right? Even if it's just like I'm gonna go walk my dog or I'm gonna go, do a playground workout while my kid is playing and living his best life, right? Whatever it is, I do 5 minutes, and if I want to be done, then I'm done. But in all my years of doing that, I've only quit after 5 minutes once. And that
Yeah.
was just like a massively, frustrating, crazy day. And I was like, I am just done with this. And the reason there's science behind this, right? So when you start exercising, your endorphins get flowing, you have those like feel good hormones coming out of your body. And you're just like, all right. And some days for me, it's like, okay, I've done 5. I'm not going to be done yet, but I'm only doing 10. And maybe that's the thing, right? But usually I once I'm in the zone, right, and I start feeling good, I can go for the full workout.
So I also do that hack, and I would say there have been more than one time where I've actually done 5 minutes and been done. Like I'm like, okay, I tried it, and yeah, not today.
Yep.
Uh,
And
and
it's totally fine.
I also play another sort of, I guess, mental game with myself, which is like, I'll just go for 5 more minutes. And like, if I'm like picked a 30-minute workout on the Peloton, for example, and I'm like really not feeling it, I'll say, well, I'll just do 5 more minutes. And then in 5 minutes, I'll decide, do I want to get off then or do I want to go? And then I'll be like, all right, I think I can do another 5 minutes. And so I do. And most of the time I end up getting to the end of the 30 minutes, but not always. Sometimes I'm like, you know what? 25, 20, it's good. And I get off.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's not even those 5 minutes, like we're
Yeah.
saying. Sometimes it's like, no, I'm not even going to try five. But I do want to go back to what you were saying, Elizabeth, about motivation, and just leave it very clear for everyone that sometimes it is motivation and sometimes motivation is not the problem. Sometimes it's what we've been talking about here, which is our nervous system energy is just not there. We do have the motivation, but we just, your body just, your mind simply can't because we're so overwhelmed with everything else, right? So whatever that is good to find out.
Well, I totally agree with that, and 100%, 100% I agree with that. And I also think that sometimes we wait to be motivated to act.
Yeah.
Something I've been thinking a lot about lately is that I actually think it's the other way around. I think a lot of times, especially like in the realm of health habits, we think we're like waiting for motivation to act. And
Mhm.
actually, action often precedes motivation. And
Yeah.
so just like getting started, right? Not waiting for this magical
Yeah,
moment of motivation, it for some people, some of the time is actually an important component.
agree.
Yeah, completely agree with that.
So, what takeaways do we want to review or leave for our listeners with this episode? I have a couple.
Oh, well, so yeah, I also wrote down a couple of other like tactical things. Like I think so far we talked a lot about like thinking about the why and different ways of thinking about it, but I also had like a few tactical tips of like, okay, but maybe they would be helpful to share. I
Share
don't know.
them.
I'm listening.
We're on the edge of our
Yeah.
seats.
Well, the first one was just like being flexible with how you do it, which I think we already kind of talked around, but didn't name it specifically. Flexible with how long it is, where you do it, what you do, all the things. I think another one is like figuring out a way to build a consistent routine. I can tell you with 100% certainty that there is no way I would lift weights twice a week if I did not have Tara De Leon at the other end of FaceTime waiting to work out with me. I don't really love lifting weights, but I know that it is something that is good for me and my bones and all the things as I age. And so, like, that's why I hire you and pay you to do that, right? So that's like, and I
Thank
know
you.
it's the same 2 mornings every week. It's consistent, and that helps me stay consistent with it. And I guess like the other thing that goes along with that is like I wish there was a different word besides accountability because I don't love that word. Like maybe it's support is a nicer way to say it. But like like you're waiting for me. And
Hmm.
so I show up even on many mornings when otherwise I may
Yeah.
not want to. And so I think sometimes it's like orchestrating your
Mm-hmm.
lifestyle. Also, just like scheduling it, right?
Hmm.
What is our friend Alison Loftus from Leading Lady Coaching says, if you don't schedule it, it's not actually your priority. Like if you're just kind of winging it, hoping you'll fit it in, you're far less likely to fit it in than if it's actually like, oh, at this time today, I'm going for a walk. And
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah,
didn't schedule anything else.
totally agree. I have a tactical thing that I think is helpful too, is like kind of redefining what you consider to be movement.
Mm-hmm.
I know a lot of us with like young kids, we're moving a lot, but we're not exercising, right? Like wrangling a toddler is hard work. And so, think about things that you do that move, that require a lot of movement, like taking care of kids or cleaning your house or, raking leaves in your yard. Like all of this counts as movement. And while it may not be something that is like regularly in your routine, like keep in mind that that requires energy and it is helpful to you. And also, kind of interesting side note, I saw a thing today from Quaker Oats, of all people, who they are leading like a charge to petition like Fitbit and Apple Watch and, like smart wearable trackers to include like life stuff in their exercise categories.
Oh, I love
So,
that.
yeah, like parenting is like something you can put your watch to do for an hour a day or whatever.
Wow. Housework,
So,
right? Go
kind of like
Quaker Oats. That's
interesting.
cool.
Keeping an eye on where that heads because it's kind of interesting and unique.
It makes sense.
Hmm. I also think that it's helpful, like a thing to remember is, exercise is going to give you energy to a point, but if you overdo it, you're going to leave drained. So please go move. But if you're already fighting like some burnout and malaise, maybe like pick a gentler workout that day.
Yeah, and having realistic expectations, right?
Yeah. I think that's also really like it kind of gives me hope too, because I know on days that I'm like really tired, if I go do a little bit of movement, I'm gonna feel good and I'm gonna be awake and ready and energetic. There was a period of my life where I had the craziest work schedule where I was commuting to Baltimore, which was about an hour for me, for a 5:30 a.m. lift with some teams up there. I was working as a strength coach at Loyola, so I would go lift with my teams. I would have to come back down to Arnold, which is an hour, to teach my classes at the community college. And then I would go back up for afternoon lifts with the kids at Loyola. And then I would go across Baltimore to the community college in Dundalk to teach a class over there at like 9 o'clock at night. So in the car, I was doing like 4 to 6 hours of commuting a day. And the seat heater was on and it was just like real comfy. And I was tired because I was up at the crack of dawn and not going to bed until very late. So something I started doing was before I left every place, luckily my classroom is a gym, right? So I would hop on the treadmill and like do a quick like 5 to 10 minute jog on the treadmill before I got in the car. And so when I was in the car, I was all fully awake and like paying attention to the road and not feeling all sleepy and hating my whole life because of it. And it kept me awake and safe. So totally works.
Maria, you want to close this out?
Yes, I think this was a great conversation. And I think good reminders are that small, consistent movement can, even win over those big ones, but maybe guilt-driven ones. I want to make sure that we know that rest is part of the plan as well. Like we said, exercise snacks, figuring out what movement means to you and how do you want to do it. Everything counts. Exhaustion is not failure, it's just maybe your body asking for something different that you're needing right now, or if you need to prioritize something or schedule this movement. It's again what we talk about in this podcast a lot, which is that relationship with you and figuring out what works for you, because what works for other people not necessarily applies to everyone. And that's why wellness is not a one size fits all, right? If you like this episode, please don't forget to like it, download it, share it, send us a message, follow us on Instagram. We love having these conversations with you. We will talk to you next week.
Yeah, DM us and let us know which part of this conversation resonates with you the most. Inquiring ears want to know.
Thank you for listening. If you want to connect with me outside of this podcast, you can find me on Instagram at coaching_therapist.
I'm Elizabeth. You can find me at Elizabeth Harris Nutrition or in my Facebook group, Health and Healing with Intuitive Eating.
And I'm on Instagram and Facebook at Tara DeLeon Fitness. Guys, if you loved this episode or any of our other episodes, we would love it if you would leave us a review on Apple Podcast. It really, really helps us get the non-diet word out to the rest of the world. So please leave us a review.
Yes, thank you.